That evening, I realized a meal could shatter a whole household or pull it back together. I'm Shirley Miller, 62 now, and this tale has stayed locked in my chest for ages because sharing it stung too deeply. But right now, I sense it's time. Maybe out there, somebody needs to know that quiet has its place, and grace never fades if you hold it close inside. It began on a lazy Sunday. My son's wife, Gabriella, planned a gathering right in our home, the one I've shared with Robert since my husband left us 5 years back. She'd been his partner for 3 years. I'd strive to be the ideal in-law, the kind who holds back advice, stays out of sight, and grins even as her spirit cracks. That day, she strolled into the cooking area as I diced herbs for the grains. In her deep red gown, tall shoes, and that familiar glare, the one whispering, "This isn't yours anymore, Shirley." She flashed a chilly grin. "I need this evening to shine," she declared. "My folks are joining, my brothers and sisters too. It matters a lot, so just relax. I've got it covered." I dipped my head. I always did. I lingered in my bedroom all afternoon. Echoes of chuckle, tinkling cups, and gentle tunes drifted up. Nobody summoned me. By 8, when the aroma of simmered stew saturated the air, I glanced out quietly. The spread featured my hand-stitched linens, my porcelain dishes, the tapers I'd saved for rare events. Yet my spot, my own seat, was missing. Gabriella spotted me from the eating space. She sauntered over, like issuing commands to a helper. "It's probably best if you eat in here alone," she suggested. "Tonight, it's just my kin at the main spot." I froze. Then she raised her voice, for all to catch. "Head to the back and dine there, you cluttered elder. I only want my relatives around." The quiet pressed down so thickly, it seemed the walls held their breath. I stayed mute. I just clutched the stitched smock my mom gifted me 4 decades past, the very one I'd done for brewing Robert's morning meal as a child, scented with brew and warm spice buns on frosty dawns. I pivoted away. I strode to the rear with chin up, but just then, the entrance swung wide. Robert had shown up. At times, we place faith in folks we ought not. Have you felt let down by a cherished one? Share your experience below. I'd love to hear it. Before diving into what unfolded that night, let me paint the picture of my days prior to Gabriella's entrance. You don't cherish calm until it's snatched away. Robert entered the world when I was 25. His dad, Henry, spoke sparingly but labored tirelessly. Ours was an unadorned existence, no luxuries, yet we wanted for naught. Each dawn at 5, I'd rise to fix the spiced brew Henry savored steaming. While scanning the news on the veranda, Robert stirred to that fragrance. He called it the essence of our haven. I recall when Robert hit 7, aiding me in whipping up fluffy scones. He'd tie on my smock, that enduring one, and his tiny palms would cake with batter. He'd giggle, I'd chuckle. Henry would observe from the threshold, beaming wordlessly. Such instance required no chatter. At 18, Henry succumbed to a cardiac episode, a Tuesday midday. We tended herbs in the yard. He clutched his torso, gazed at me, and vanished, so abrupt. So harsh. Robert embraced me that evening and vowed, "Ma, I'll handle it all. You're not on your own." He honored that pledge. He pulled extra hours at the mill, hit the books after dark, and earned his engineering degree. I never went without. He ensured I felt valued, not a weight. On weekends, we'd share dawn meals. He'd chat about his ventures, his aspirations. I'd pour his brew just right. Light on sweetener, heavy on affection. The place wafted fresh, like broth on the end of the week, like pressed garments. In the evenings, I'd tend the greenery to radio melodies. My pal Mary Lou would drop by for a sip. We'd gab about odds and ends. Existence was straightforward. Existence was fine. Then Robert crossed paths with Gabriella. He returned one weekend with that goofy beam guy's sport when smitten. He presented her in the front room. She sported a snug outfit, bold scent, and crimson, tipped claws. She gripped my palm without meeting my gaze. "Pleased to know you, Shirley," she uttered with a curve that skipped her eyes. I brewed her a cup. She ignored it. Robert glowed so brightly he missed what I noticed. That scan appraising our abode like tallying its price. That poise claiming Henry's seat as her domain. Yet I held my tongue, for a parent craves her child's joy. And often, from devotion, you blink at storms brewing ahead. The ensuing weeks blurred courtship, vows escape. Gabriella settled in our dwelling. Robert claimed it was brief, till they banked for their own spot. I agreed. He was my boy. It was my role. From day one shifts crept in. The spiced brew's whiff yielded to automated pods. My terrace blooms got shifted for blocking paths. My broadcasts silenced for being disruptive, and my position at the meal spot, my niche there, shrank steadily. I'd reassure myself, it's temporary. They'll adjust. It'll smooth out. But it didn't. And that evening of the feast, that occasion, tensions erupted. As I recount this, I'm curious about your spot. Drop your town's name below. Fissures don't burst suddenly. They expand gradually, like roots splintering pavement unheard. Initially, minor slights. So tiny I'd think, I'm overreacting. I'm the stubborn one. One morn, I descended for a bite and discovered the cooking zone barred. Gabriella emerged in her satin wrap and stated, "You must have left a jumble yesterday. Best I manage it henceforth. You unwend." I'd scrubbed, wiped, and stowed all. But I bit back words. Robert had departed for his shift already. He exited sooner each day, returned tardier. Another time, Mary Lou arrived for our usual chat. She rapped as ever on midweeks. I lingered upstairs. I overheard Gabriella answer, "No, she can't chat. She's occupied. Try later." And she shut it. Mary Lou ceased visiting. My cherished Flora, nurtured over years, landed in the bin one weekend dawn. Gabriella claimed they drew bugs. Robert assented without glancing my way. Zalosin. I salvaged a container of scarlet blooms from the waste and hid it in my quarters. I nourished it with drops I refused to shed before them. I prepared fewer dishes. Gabriella deemed my fare too oily or plain. She summoned deliveries. Robert consumed silently. I dined solo in my space, perched on the mattress edge in my smock, though cooking eluded me. One evening, murmurs rose from the lounge. I toe-peeped quietly. "Darling, your mom must grasp this place is ours," Gabriella urged. "She can't roam freely. It's not hers now." Robert exhaled. "Ease up, Gabby. She's endured much. And me. Don't I deserve comfort here?" Quiet. Then Robert, weary, "I'll address it." But he never did. I ventured out only when essential. I drifted like a shadow. At times, Gabriella would glance and curve her lips. But that wasn't warmth, it crowed. Victory's mine. Weekends lost our shared starts. Robert slumbered in. Gabriella ventured with companions. I remained secluded, gazing outward, stroking my smock, recalling when our abode breathed spice, not lavish aroma. One midday, a container sat in the corridor. Within my mementos, snapshots of Henry, volumes he bestowed, my mom's beads, my stitched cloths. I queried Gabriella, "We require room. Surely fret not. It's all safe, just stored." They boxed my history. And I persisted in hush, believing if I diminished, claimed less territory, faded bit by bit, perhaps I'd linger near my boy. Perhaps he'd recall me. Perhaps he'd notice anew. But matters worsened, and that evening Gabriella hosted the meal. I sensed a permanent rift looming. Patience differs from fearfulness. I grasped that late. Over those spans, I blamed myself. I'm unadaptable. I'd murmur to my image. I'm gripping yesterdays. I eyed my likeness and scarcely knew that lady. My gaze wearied. My posture bent. My tone, barely there. I resolved one final push to become the in-law Gabriella desired. The unseen aid. Learning of her weekend event, I proposed, "Gabriella, if you'd like, I'll whip up the stew." My grandma's formula. Robert adores it. She barely lifted from her device. "No thanks, surely. Catering's set. Quality eats, understand. Don't want my kin thinking we skimp." I gulped. "May I assist with arranging then?" "No need. I've it handled." "You relax." Relax, that term once more, as if I were a frail senior, not a vibrant 62-year-old capable of kneading scones by touch. Saturday Eve, as they dozed, I crept downstairs. I donned my smock, the handcrafted one from Mom, and scrubbed every inch. I cleansed vessels, placed remaining yard blossoms. I buffed the heirloom utensils from my own in-law. I aimed for flawlessness. I hoped Gabriella would recognize my worth, that I merited a nook in that abode. By finish, dawn neared at 4. I settled with a warm drink, admiring my labor. All gleamed. Everything gleamed fresh. For a brief instant, I sensed I'd reclaimed a tiny sliver of my sanctuary. Come Sunday midday, Gabriella stepped into the space. She noticed the spotless setup and scowled. "Was this your doing?" I bobbed my head, anticipating some gratitude. "I told you to unwind. I don't require your assistance. Plus, you've shifted it all around. Now nothing's where it belongs." And she stormed off. I lingered there in my smock, sensing more unseen than before. By 6 that evening, the visitors started showing up. Gabriella's folks, her brothers, her sister alongside her spouse. They strolled into our abode like it belonged to them. Nobody acknowledged me. Nobody inquired after me. I remained upstairs, catching the bursts of mirth, the chime of cups, the click of shoes on the timber planks. Robert was delayed from his job. Gabriella had rung him thrice. I could tell from her irritated tone over the line. Robert, they're all here for you. What's keeping you? I peered from my chamber's pane. I spotted the glow in the eating area. I viewed the spread adorned with my linens, my dishes, my tapers. I watched Gabriella chuckling with her kin, gesturing at the place as though she'd styled it herself. And that's when I noticed. My seat was absent. I tallied the spots circling the setup, 9. All were occupied, yet my position vanished. Something cracked within me, but I still whispered to myself, perhaps it slipped their minds. Maybe I could squeeze in elsewhere. Maybe. I descended gradually, still in my smock. I arrived at the dining spot right as they dished out the meal. Gabriella caught sight of me, her expression shifted, and she uttered it in that icy timbre I recognized all too well. It's likely wiser for you to dine back there alone. Tonight, it's solely my relatives at the main area. The hush pressed so densely that the atmosphere turned thick, and then she amplified it, for all ears. Go grab your food in the back, you disheveled senior. I only want my kin here. The attendees averted their gazes. Nobody spoke up. Nobody stood by me. I gripped my smock tightly. My legs quivered, but I held back sobs. I didn't raise my voice. I simply spun around. And right then, the entrance swung open. Robert had appeared. I often ponder if holding my tongue so long was wise. How about you? What might you have chosen in my shoes? At times, you believe you grasp your child fully, only to realize you knew him deeper than imagined. Robert entered with his satchel clutched. His neckwear hung slack, his locks tousled, that weary expression he'd worn home lately each dusk. But as his gaze swept the scene, a shift crossed his features. He noticed me poised at the eating area's threshold in my stitched garment, palms balled, posture erect, yet eyes damp. He spotted Gabriella perched at the table's end, in the spot his dad once claimed, with that strained curve on her mouth. He observed the visitors staring at their servings, awkward, and he noted my absent seat. He shut the portal gently. Silence reigned. Gabriella rose swiftly, straightening her attire. Darling, you're here at last. We were about to dig in. Come join us. I held your position. Robert stayed put. His focus lingered on me. What's gone on? He inquired steadily, too steadily. Nothing, love. You know you're my. She likes eating solo back there. It's cozier for her, isn't it, Shirley? I stayed mute, but I didn't affirm either. Robert set his bag down. He eased off his neckwear deliberately. He approached me. Ma, what's occurred? His words were soft, but his gaze held a spark absent for months. A spark echoing the 7-year-old lad who shielded smaller kids at recess. A spark reminiscent of his father. It's fine, boy. No need to fret. I've already had my share. I fibbed. Ma, he echoed. What's happened? Gabriella cut in sharply. Robert, skip the theatrics. It's merely a meal. Your ma gets that we required room for my folks today. Your folks? Robert echoed, pivoting toward her. Your relatives. Gabriella tittered uneasily. Yes, dear. My parents, my sibs, it's a unique gathering. Your ma comprehends. Robert scanned the setup. He numbered the seats. Then he fixed on Gabriella. Where's my seat? Dear, it didn't fit. Too many folks. And where's my seat? He repeated, volume rising. The quiet thickened. One of Gabriella's brothers coughed lightly. Her mom fiddled with her cloth, uneasy. Gabriella attempted a chuckle. Robert, don't blow it up. It's just a supper. We can discuss later. Gabby, Robert stated, tone frosty. Did you instruct my mother to dine alone back there? The hush roared. I figured that. Yes or no? Gabriella gulped. Her gaze flared with suppressed fury. Yes, I did. What's the issue? This place is mine too. I get a say. Robert lifted his palm, not to strike, merely to hush, and then he voiced words etched in my memory. If she doesn't join us, nobody does. Gabriella blanched. What? You heard. Robert strode to the table's head where Gabriella stood. He tugged the seat back decisively. Rise, Robert. You're overdoing it. Rise. Gabriella complied, quaking with anger and shame. Her parents stared downward. Her sibs froze. Robert claimed the seat and positioned it beside me. Take a seat, ma. Boy, no need. Sit. I lowered myself. My fingers trembled on my garment. Robert guided me to the honored spot, the one forever mine, when his dad lived. And then he performed an act that shattered and mended my core simultaneously. He grabbed a dish. He portioned grain stew, maize loaf with his own grasp, like the child I'd guided in self-serving. He placed it before me. Dig in, my. This is your domain. It always has been. Drops cascaded down my face, but these weren't from H. Gabriella froze, knuckles white. And then I witnessed something novel. Her eyes brimmed with moisture. Moisture from wrath, from mortification, from an undecipherable depth. She bolted to the chamber. She banged the portal. The visitors rose, whispering apologies. It's getting late. We must head out. Appreciate the meal. Eyes avoided eyes. Within 5 minutes, all departed. Robert settled beside me. He clasped my palm. Pardon me, Ma. I should have woken up earlier. Words failed me. I merely gripped back. And there, at that setup in that dwelling witness to such sorrow, we shared a meal as in old times, as it ought to have remained. But I sensed this wasn't concluded. As I share this, I'm curious about your location. Jot your town's name below. Some realities you dodge facing, and some once confronted alter all. That evening, post-meal, Robert handled the cleanup. I offered aid, but he insisted, Ma, you relax. I'll manage. Relax. Yet now the term rang differently. Not a command but care. I perched in the front room, still in my garment, hearing the faucet flow. The place hushed. Gabriella remained secluded. And me. I wrestled with emotions. Relief flooded deeply. My boy had championed me. My boy had spotted me. Yet dread loomed. Dread of what followed. Dread this clash merely sparked. Robert emerged, wiping his grasp. He joined me. Ma, we need to chat. I affirmed. I missed how tough it was for you. How was I so oblivious? Gabby claimed you favored solitude, shunned mingling, chalked it to aging. And I trusted her. His gaze reddened. Pardon me. You've no fault. You toil endlessly. No, Ma. I do bear blame. You're my parent. You nurtured me solo after Dad passed. You scrubbed homes for my education. Think I forget? I recall it all, and I returned it by permitting your disgrace in your own haven. His timbre cracked. I covered his hand. Robert, you adore Gabriella. She's your partner. I get it. But you're my ma. We lingered in quiet, a quiet brimming with unsaid months. Then steps echoed. Gabriella appeared from the space. Her lids puffed, cosmetics streaked. She eyed us from the passage. Finished your spectacle. Robert rose. Gabby, let's discuss. No, you've said plenty. You humiliated me before my kin. Know how mortified I felt. How mortified you felt. Robert elevated his tone. And the shame you inflicted on my ma. Gabriella chortled. But it lacked joy. A sour chortle, laced with spite. Your ma. Always your ma. Know the issue, Robert. You wed me, yet never shed being her pet. That's irrelevant. It's central. I wed you sans her shadow. I wed you to rank first here. I wed you without an in-law scrutinizing, critiquing, outshining me. Nobody critiques you, Gabriella, I murmured gently. She glared with raw loathing. You're forever there in your wrap and pitiful guise. Oh, the sad widow. Oh, unloved. Oh, my boy deserted me. Think I miss your ploys. All to stir Robert's pity. Paint me the villain so he stays your taut. Gebby, halt. Robert commanded. No, I'm exhausted. Weary of this dated dwelling. Weary of resting where your folks slumbered. Weary of your grandma's wares. Weary that every inch reeks of her. It stung like a blow. Gabriella pressed on, words slicing sharp. On our vows, you swore our own spot, fresh starts. Yet here we linger in her realm. Her ways, her echo everywhere. This domain is Ma's. Robert asserted. Always was. Oh sure. And who covers power, water, food? You, Robert, you fund all. So whose realm truly? Robert paled. I rose deliberately. Gabriella, if residing here irks you deeply, I'll depart. I'll seek a modest nook. And no, Robert bellowed, Ma, you stay. This is yours, and if departure calls. But he trailed. Gabriella curved cruelly. Tossing me out, Robert. Your spouse, your beloved. For her. Robert stared groundward, and in that hush, I glimpsed it all. My boy torn by dual affections. His anguish. His remorse. I believed you cherished me. Gabriella murmured. Now her timbre quavered. I believed I topped. You do, but. No buts, Robert. Choose me or her. And she exited the abode, slamming shut. Robert collapsed into the seat. He buried his face. I stood, clutching my garment, sensing I'd witnessed the forbidden, something shattering inwardly. For I grasped then, something pivotal. Gabriella's disdain stemmed not from my deeds, but my essence. I embodied Robert's yesteryears, his heritage, his foundation, his recollections. She craved a tomorrow sans me, where Robert was hers alone, void of reminders of prior existence, prior hearth, prior bonds excluding her. And I grasped more. I'd permitted it all, each slight, each indignity, each shrink, each mute, each fade. I schooled Gabriella in my disposability. I schooled her my niche lacked worth. I schooled her I lacked worth. Worst, I schooled my boy it was fine. I settled beside Robert. He hid his face. Boy, I whispered tenderly, lift your gaze. He complied. Tears filled his. I don't know my path, Ma. I cherish her, but can't permit your mistreatment. I understand. What now? And there, I chose. A choice evaded long. A choice painful yet vital. Robert, I'll go? What? No, Ma, no. Hear me. Gabriella's correct on one count. This is your existence, your union. My presence breeds strain, bitterness. But this is your domain. It was my domain. I uttered, a snap in my core. Mine with your dad. Mine when you were small. But no longer. I can't dwell where unwanted.